Is over, making his first major league start tonight. His parents were here early watching him take BP. Right now we get you upstairs and connect with the guys that are going to call it, Dave Sims and Mike Flowers. Guys, hopefully he gets that first major league hit out of the way
that
early.
Would be great, Angie, no question about it. He looked good in infield. Good evening, everybody. Good to have you with us. And a key to the Mariners' success the last couple of games, no surprise, has been outstanding starting pitching. Can they get more here tonight? Look what Iwakuma and Aaron Harang turned in the last 48 hours.
Well, that's something that we thought was going to be the strength of this club, and when they have won and done well, that definitely has been the case. You see Iwakuma, 8 innings that he pitched, the club won in 13, and then, of course, Harang, the 9-inning shutout yesterday. So for Mauer today, what does he have to do? I think he takes a page out of what Aaron Harang did yesterday. Command the strike zone with your fastball first and foremost. If he can do that, the rest of his pitches will work off of that. But when he has struggled at times this year, he has had his fastball running off the plate away to the left-handers. It's been a little bit of an issue. Hopefully he can get that straightened out this afternoon. And then, of course, Volquez, good arm, throws hard. He has walked a lot of batters this year, 25 walks in 54 innings that he has pitched. So patience today against Volquez will probably be the right way to go about it when you're facing a guy with that type of arm.
Take your base, indeed. Most walks per 9. You got Jason Marquis, Gio Gonzalez, Edison Volquez, number 3, and Jonathan Neese of the New York Mets. Big story here today, or tonight, let's combine with one word, tonight, is Nick Franklin. Called up last night. He starts tonight for the first time, got into the game last evening. He's going to get a chance to swing the bat early and often. Eric Wedd's very high on this young prospect.
And I think it was a good idea to get him in the game yesterday. He played a couple of innings in the field, had a plate appearance where he walked, get some of the butterflies out of the way, let him get this start underway today to start his career here at the major league level.
What would the Mariners be without Kendrys Morales? Let's not find out. He has been terrific, to say the least. 9 for his last 19 at home. He's been outstanding, carrying the load. Hopefully it continues tonight as the Mariners try to win their 3rd consecutive ball game. Mariners and the Padres, game 2. First pitch is straight ahead.
On Root Sports is brought to you by Ford. We are local. By Safeco Insurance, do more. And by the Emerald Queen Casino, inviting you to an action-packed night of live professional boxing June 1st. For tickets, go to emeraldqueen.com. Welcome back out here to the Pen Bowl. We started the pregame show, Bill. Roof on, but now sun's out, roof off. Great for some baseball. Mariners going for that 2-game sweep. A whole lot better than that 8-game losing streak, which we saw. Yeah, the veterans coming through, and nobody doing more than Kendrys Morales, our Sterling Bag. Hey, nobody works harder for you. How about this guy's last 7 games, Bill? Even 500. 6 runs, 7 doubles, 9 RBIs, doing it all different ways for Morales.
Well, this guy 3 years ago was probably the most prolific switch hitter, most dangerous switch hitter in baseball. Got a devastating ankle injury. Last year was a nice rebound year. I think the Mariners have picked this guy up on the come. He's got a lot to prove. And you know what? He's the real deal. This guy, left-handed, right-handed. And the thing is, there's guys that buck their numbers against the soft end of pitching in games that are blowouts. This is the guy that can come up in the clutch, a la Edgar Martinez. I'm not saying he's Edgar Martinez, and hit tough pitching, hit tough situations, drive in runs, hit the ball out of the ballpark, and he's a very smart guy, and he's delivering a lot of messages inside the clubhouse.
Has raised his average over 50 points in May. Nice day for baseball. Dave and Mike are back with lineups getting you set. Game 2, Mariners and Pods on the way.
This is Mariner Baseball from Safeco Field in Seattle, Washington. Good evening, everybody. Dave Sims, Mike Flowers, and the Root Sports crew with you. Roof opened up about an hour ago, so we get ready for Game 2 of this 2-game series in Seattle before the scene shifts to San Diego the next 2 days. For Brandon Maurer, it's been 33 days and 4 starts since he last won a ball game. Let's take a look at the San Diego lineup that he'll face here this evening.
For manager Buddy Black, Everett Cabrera leading off. Want to keep him off the bases. 19 stolen bases on the year for Cabrera already, so you have to be able to make him earn his way on. Then it's Amarista, Headley, Quinton, Alonso, Grandal, Jerko, Kapse, and Venable. Jerko, .293 for the month with 5 home runs. And, of course, Brandon Maurer, 9 starts on the year, 2-6 record, ERA at 6.80, 30 strikeouts, 16 walks. Opponent's average high at 328. And the T-Mobile defense tonight. Indy Chavez has been in center field. He is out in left tonight. Saunders in center. Michael Morris is your right fielder. And on the infield, Seager at third. Ryan At shortstop, Nick Franklin getting his first major league start. He is at second. Kendrys Morales, the first baseman, and Jesus Sucre will do the catching tonight.
Franklin got a chance to participate in his first infield practice session up here at the big leagues before the game. About 4 o'clock. Robbie Thompson put the outfielders, the infielders through their paces. Good to see the guys snapping the ball around the infield and outfield. So his first big league start right here, right now. Brandon Maurer, first pitch to Ibert Cabrera. Outside corner for strike one. Called by Ted Barrett. Alfonso Marquez has first base. Dan Bellino at second and Mike DeMuro at third. Cabrera leads the major leagues with 19 stolen bases, and he continues to develop into just an outstanding all-around player. And like last night with the Mariners, Aaron Orang established fastball command and was just excellent. 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, a complete game, his 14th career complete game. Fastball command, key issue here for Maurer. Fly ball left field for Indy Chavez. He's there for the first out.
Well, I think you're right as far as Brandon Maurer goes. That's been the issues when he's had his struggles. Everything is off of his fastball, so he has to be able to command that first. It's good to see him throw some strikes out here in the first hitter. He's actually topped out with that last fastball at 95 miles an hour. Take a look at his last start. It was a struggle down in Los Angeles. 3 innings pitched, gave up 7 earned runs. Over 74 pitches to get through the 3 innings. So he's looking to bounce back, a lot like Aaron Orang did last night. Aaron had a rough outing and pitched well last night, which was good to see.
Orang beat Padres now from his hometown, and Maurer had a tough go. As you look at Alexi Amarista, he's in center field tonight. He was at second base last night. A tough go for Maurer pitching in his home area. And Anaheim, grew up an Angels fan and grew up not too far from Angels Stadium. Amarista 0 for 3 last night. Padres come in with the record of 22 wins, 28 losses, 7 games back off the pace in the National League West. Swing and a miss on a high strike. They're in 4th place, just ahead of the last place Dodgers starting today by half game.
And that's the best fastball we've seen from Maurer this year, 97 miles an hour. He's even hit 95 a number of times, but 97 is getting it up there for him.
2-2. Gotta love the way the weather has materialized here in the last hour. Pull the roof back a little before 6 o'clock. Maurer's worked the full count to Amarista. Chase Headley's on deck. Swing and a miss. Amarista's gone, 2 down.
Left us a good fastball. He comes back with the changeup at 88. Gets Amarista to chase it. You see it bouncing right in front of Sucre as he applies the tag.
Two outs here in the first brings up third baseman Chase Headley, switch hitter, hitting at 262. Headley 1 for 4 last evening. Drove a ball deep through the wall in right field last night that was tracked down by Michael Morris. Hits this one well, center field. Michael Saunders back in the lineup and has this one go over his head and hit the wall. And he'll get it back in as Headley eases into second with his 9th double of the season.
Headley gets a fastball and it's middle. He's not going to miss that one. He squares it up and hits it over Saunders' head. It actually checked up at the base of the wall. A little gap, so Michael had to go pick it up off the track and throw it back in.
Bring up their cleanup man, Carlos Quentin, 0 for 3 last evening. Slow start for him, 212, 5 home runs and 16 runs batted in. He has been picking it up. Last 11 games as he fouls one off, inning at a 282 clip. 0-1 to Carlos. Line drive left field. Charging is Chavez. Headley rounding third. They hold him up. Throw to third. Safe.
Almost a great play. Brendan Ryan coming in behind him at third. Andy Chavez has a strong throwing arm. I'm not surprised that they held the runner up. Headley thought he was going to score on it. And a good play by Kyle Seager and Brendan Ryan, almost getting him back, trying to dive back into third.
During the infield outfield drills today, Andy had a good session, did a great job throwing the ball to the plate and hitting the cutoff man, and boy did that come in handy right there. First and third for San Diego brings up Yonder Alonso. He's their RBI leader with 29. Base hit. No, yes, no. It's a line drive going right to Saunders as it stayed up. Condor swooping in. Easy catch for him. Nick Franklin, we're going to see him eventually. He's batting in the 7-hole. It's his first game, his first start. First start here in the big leagues. Glad to have him here in Seattle. Andy Chavez will be leading off for the 14th time this season. And let's take a look at the rest of the batting order that will face Edison Volquez of the Padres.
And for Andy Chavez, he's done a good job leading off, hitting .310 overall. The starting lineup is brought to you by Chevron. Seager will hit second, then it's Ibanez, Morales, Morris, Saunders. You got to get Michael Saunders going in. Nick Franklin making his first start. Was able to get a plate appearance last night and walk. Then it's Sucre and Ryan to round out the 9 for the Mariners. Edison Volquez, our throwing right-hander, former Red, now with the Padres. 3-5 record, a 5.76 ERA for him. 25 walks in 54 2/3 innings. That's a lot of walks. See if the Mariners can take advantage of that.
He's had an up and down season, Volquez. Done well in his career against the Mariners. 3-0 with a 2.67 ERA. As you look at the Chavez profile.
Come on.
There's a strike on the inside corner. 0-2.
You can see here early good run to the fastball for Volquez. Fastball will be in the low 90s. Last one he started in. And he gave up on it and ran back on the inside corner.
Way upstairs. Volquez started out losing his first 3 games. Got a no decision, then won 3 in a row. A no decision, and then 2 losses. So up and down he goes.
You can see he's had a lot of success against the Mariners. 3-0 record with a 2.67 ERA.
Outside. 2-2. Volquez. At Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. 29 years old. Came over from Cincinnati with Alonso and Yasmani Grandal, who you'll see tonight, and Brad Boxberger from Matt Latos in December of 11. Driving the center fielder Amarista back. Makes the catch. And there's one down.
Take a look at the rest of the defense for the Padres. Amarista with a routine catch in center. Then it's Mark Kotze, the veteran, in left. Will Venable is in right field. And on the infield, Headley playing at third, Cabrera and Jerko up the middle. Alonso is the first baseman. And Grandal will do the catching. He did against the Cardinals. His last start, 6 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, just 1 walk in that game. 87 pitches for Volquez.
There's Kyle Seager. That's a strike. Kyle now tied for the team lead in doubles with 16 with Morales. Morales has overtaken him. His RBI leader, Kendrick, says 28. Strike Seager, holding at 23 runs batted. So Volquez's third big league team started with the Texas organization. With them in 05 and 06 and 07, and then Cincinnati 08 through 11. And now his second year with San Diego. Ball, 2 strikes. Seager Morales leading the way. Always like to see a bunch of doubles. Bud Black, 2010 National League Manager of the Year, watches Volquez strike out Seager for out number 2. They'll love the Pacific Northwest as we get closer to the summer solstice. The days are already longer. Doesn't get dark to about 9:15. That'll carry on to close to 10 o'clock as we get to the peak days of the summertime. The lights are on here at Safeco Field. 2 outs and brings up Raul Ibanez. Boy, did he hit that high. First baseman Alonso has a play, and the Mariners are gone in the first inning. So Mauer survived a 2-out, 2-on situation. No such problems for Volquez. Second inning coming up. Then we go down to San Diego, and joining us right now, Mariners Hall of Famer, great catcher Dan Wilson. Dan the man, good to see you, pal. How are you? Good to have you with us as we rock and roll here in Game 2. Tell me about what you've seen here the last few days with the Mariners coming off of that losing streak. That was so torturous.
Yeah, tough losing stretch. But I'll tell you what, they come out the last couple of days and they play a different type of baseball.
Hold on a second, Dan. We got a technical problem right now.
Well, we'll get it straight. get back to that. Hold that thought, Dan. As Yasmani Grandal skies one to short left field that Indy Chavez puts away. One out. It'll be 6, 7, and 8 here in the second inning. Grandal, Jedjerko, and Mark Katze against Brandon Maurer. All right, now we can get back to Dan. What did you think of the last couple of games here with the Mariners coming up big after losing those 8 games? Here's a drive right field. Morse will get this.
Well, obviously, Aaron Harang was the story yesterday, pitching that complete game shutout, and thought great outing for him. I think the key to that really was the offense getting out early, which we hadn't seen, and giving him some cushion to let him do his thing. So I tell you what, a chance tonight for the Mariners offense to do the same thing for Brandon, get him a lead here at some point early in the ball game, and let him go out there and do his thing on the mound, find his direction. It sounds like the starting core, Maurer and Iwakuma.
Yeah.
Those guys have had a little bit of a meeting. Saunders, they talked about it. They said, hey, let's pull this thing out. Let's get this thing rolling. And boy, Aaron started that out very, very well yesterday.
We talked about it with Aaron yesterday going into the start after his struggles in his previous outing. Now, to be fair with him, it was over 10 days since he had pitched because he hurt his back. And he really struggled. And then yesterday he came back with a thing that he had talked about, that Carl Willis was talking about, Eric Wedger was talking about him commanding his fastball, which he obviously did yesterday. He was excellent with that. And he made the comments today with Brandon, a younger pitcher, has to do the same type of thing.
Little dribbler. Maurer barehand throws off balance. Tag by Morales. Nice play. Fonso Marquez. The umpire at first got a good look at that. And Maurer gets 3 outs on 6 pitches and tops it off with a fine athletic play. Same goes for Morales. Completes the second inning with an outstanding play, and he threw it to Kendrys Morales, who made another fine play at first base. And here's Morales to lead it off. Takes a strike, and not many guys hotter than he is. How about his last 9 games here at Safeco Field? .462. He's 18 for 39, 5 doubles, couple home runs, 14 runs batted in.
He's raised his batting average over 50 points for the month, where he steps in now hitting .301, leading the club in RBIs, 6 home runs on the year, 28 RBIs for Morales.
Way inside, 1-1.
By the way, he's only hitting .419 with runners in scoring position this year, 3rd in the American League.
That's key, and having this presence in the number 4 spot is so important, and he's delivering so well. And you know the pitcher's got to have that in the back of his mind when he sees that lineup.
No, this is when they want to pitch to him with nobody on, right?
Yep.
Taking a look is Headley. And about a foot short.
We were talking about fastball command, and the thing that struck me, Danny, was with Harang, a veteran guy. For him not to have fastball command, I would just chalk that up to mechanically not having things in line, and he was able to fix that yesterday and do it. But with Brandon, a 22-year-old pitcher, a young pitcher, obviously with great stuff, he's already topped out at 97 today. I wonder sometimes how much of it is mechanics or just confidence to be able to throw his fastball and trust that it's good enough, where he falls in that whole thing, because I think Aaron's a little bit easier to figure out because he certainly isn't nervous or anything.
Topper here. Volquez overruns it. Base hit. Another one for Morales. Hit it off the end of the bat. Volquez can't make the play as we take our money tree in time play. Volquez a little upset with himself, didn't make the play, as opposed to Maurer, who had a play similar type, and he got after it and made it happen.
And that's a good help by Morales to actually give him an error. But getting back to the situation with Brandon Maurer, where do you think he falls in that as you've watched him this year?
I would say it's definitely a combination of both. Blow is a guy who's young. He's still trying to find his mechanics, but I would say definitely more on the confidence side, though. I think obviously the young guy, the toughest adjustment coming up to the big leagues as he has is going to be the mental approach to the game and his confidence. And I think he's looking for that confidence. I heard the game or the interview before the game talking about he's not scared anymore. He wants to just go out there and do it, and that shows that his confidence has grown a little bit. And I think we've seen even in the first couple of innings tonight a different Brandon Maurer. He's going out there 6 pitches to last inning. He's attacking that strike zone early with that fastball.
Michael Morse, want to count for him. 11 home runs, team leader. 1-1.
It was good to see Michael drive the ball out of the ballpark in the first inning yesterday. Give Aaron Harang an early lead. Jason Bay led off with a home run, then the 3-run home run by Morris. So you have 4 runs on the scoreboard, and they still haven't recorded an out. That's a pretty good feeling for your starting pitcher.
One to Morse. Inside.
Let's take a look at the home run that Michael hit yesterday. This pitch is a fastball away from him, and it's down. And he gets down there and drives it out to right center field. A right-handed hitter, that's getting out there where the big boys have to go.
That's a pretty good home run on a pretty good pitch, Blow. And you're right, it gave, that's what we talked about earlier. It gave Aaron Harang the chance to get out there and use that fastball, find that fastball early, attack the strike zone, and got him off on the right foot.
3-1. Three and one to Saunders with Saunders on deck. Saunders trying to climb out of a hole.
They need to get him going again, that's for sure.
He's up in the 280, 290 range, and been free fall since then. 3-1. And he's aboard. First 2-minute breach for the Mariners here in the second inning. Good thing you were talking about before, the numbers don't lie about Volquez having trouble with his control, and Bud Black concerned for him.
Well, that was his 26th walk on the season. I think this is a pretty good situation for Michael Saunders to be in right now. First and second, nobody out. Michael can do a lot of different things. He can try to bunt, maybe get a base hit and get himself going that way, or at least move the runners up and gain some confidence and feel better about that.
In at third is Headley. First pitch to Saunders. Swinging away and drives it foul. Hit it a long way foul. Strike one.
Well, I'm glad he was aggressive on that first pitch fastball. He's been taking some pitches lately. That's typical when you're trying to find your swing and figure things out. But he fires on this fastball. It's a pretty good one, too. It's right on the outside corner CREQC tracer, the location of that pitch. But I think for me, through his struggles, he's just been in between pitches. You see that a lot with hitters over the course of the year. They'll fall in and out of that.
Got a scoring change. Morales credited now with a base hit. 0-1 to Saunders with 2 on, nobody out. Judgment Saunders free fall 5 for his last 46. That's covering 12 games. 250 hitter at home, 194 on the road. Pitch misses outside. 2-1.
Well, Volquez and his struggles. First and second, nobody out, a 2-1 count. I think Michael, talking about being in between, Dan, he should get on a fastball right here and see if he can hit it hard. I don't think Volquez wants to walk him or fall any further behind in the count.
Here comes a 2-1 to Saunders. He takes it down low, 3-1.
Well, if he wasn't looking to be aggressive 2-1, he's going to be looking to be aggressive 3-1 here. Volquez, obviously, this is what they don't like about him, is that he walks too many guys, and you throw together an error with a walk, and now you got first and second, nobody out, and it's a much different inning.
Nick Franklin awaits first at bat of his first start. Got into last night's game as a pinch hitter late in the contest and walked. 3-1 to Saunders. And Watson, the bases are loaded for Nick Franklin. And we have a little storybook situation here. Young man's first start at home, first start in the big leagues, and here he comes. Bases filled here in the second inning. Franklin down at AAA Tacoma, 324, 4 homers, 20 runs batted in. Not a surprise to see pitching coach Darren Balsley out for a quick chat with Volquez.
What do you like here, Danny? I think there's always a debate about whether you go up there and you fire on a fastball, or do you take a strike, or where do you fall in line with that?
I think I'm firing on a fastball right here, bases loaded.
I think the only reason why they might have Nick take a pitch is because he just was called up. I think for a veteran guy, you would trust him to look for a pitch in the middle of the plate and let him hack away. But we'll see. I agree with you, though. I like the idea of, with nobody out, get a good fastball early in the count. Probably be the best pitch you get to hit. Try to hit it hard somewhere.
Franklin walked last night as a pinch hitter. First pitch, and he takes inside for ball 1. Showed a very discerning eye last night.
He did. He was able to walk last night in his first at bat, which is probably not an easy thing to do. You're anxious that first time you go up there.
Nick Franklin with the bases loaded. 1-0 pitch. Fouls it off.
He was hacking a pretty good pitch down in the zone blow, but he was up there hacking.
Yeah, I think right now with the movement that Volk has, and obviously he probably has never seen him before. I don't think he's faced him, maybe in spring training. But with that movement, you have to elevate the fastball a little bit if you can.
There's a 1-1 to Franklin, a switch hitter. Takes the outside corner breaking ball, changeup rather, for strike 2. The Mariners have him loaded up. Morales an infield hit. Morse walked, so did Saunders. One and 2. Count evens. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Jesus Sucre is on deck. Two. Hit hard, but right to the first baseman. Alonso comes home, get the force. Diving back at third is Michael Morse. Out 3-2 is Morales.
And because he hit it firmly down to the first baseman, Alonso, it's an easy play for him to go home, get the force out. Another recent call, Jesus Sucre get a chance to do something with the bases loaded.
See the catcher Grandal fake that throw to first. Morse came around the bag at third and couldn't find the ball. He got back to the bag, but that's a good play by the catcher. Make that attempt to throw to first base, maybe get that runner to come around the bag a little bit at third.
Sucre looks at ball one. Sucre called up 4 days ago. 3:02 down in Tacoma.
Come on, Jesus.
To right field. Venables there. Morris tags. He's going to score. Throw to third, cut off. Mariners have a 1-0 lead. Jesus Sucre, his first big league RBI. First sacrifice fly. Mariners are on the board.
That's a good at bat. He ends up getting the fastball, 94 miles an hour, but he gets it up in the zone. It gives him a chance to elevate the pitch, hitting it the other way. Stayed inside of it. Sacrifice fly. It's a good at bat for Sucre. Mariners are going to get one of their hottest hitters, Brendan Ryan, coming to the plate. He's hitting 11 of his last 12 games. There's a 6-game hitting streak going on. He's raised his batting average over 90 points over the last couple of weeks, Dan.
Wow.
Yeah, he was really struggling, and he's found something because even most of his outs, he's been able to hit the ball hard. You and I talked about this, I believe, the last time that you were here doing the broadcast when he was really struggling. He's so important to him defensively, but they had to get a little more out of him offensively. So it's good to see him swing in the bat because of what he provides to his pitching staff playing behind him.
Absolutely. And as you know, to raise your batting average 50 points as we're 2 months into the season, he's had a string of good at-bats and swung the bat well.
He's got hits in 11 of his last 12 games. 1-0 outside. 2-0.
He's one of the guys, it's just fun to watch him play shortstop, though. He's just so, he makes the routine plays, and then he also makes those exceptional plays, and he's just fun to watch at short.
He's got a 2-0 count. Runners at the corners, 2 outs, a 1-0 Mariner lead. Center field, they're playing in shallow. Amarista runs it down. The Mariners do get a run, and they get it on one hit, leave a couple. Third inning coming up, 1-0 Seattle. Stop improving. How about Aaron Harang yesterday? Complete game shutout. His 14th. First since June 4th of 09. 7th career complete game shutout. First since April 12 of 09. And the first Mariners complete game shutout since Felix last August 27th at Minnesota. That was also a gem. So good for Aaron Harang. And Harang running his record to 2-5. His ERA dropping to 6.51. Started out yesterday with an ERA of 8.58.
I think, and the biggest thing with all of that Along with the numbers for Harang is the fact that the bullpen had the night off. Those guys have been pitching a lot. 13 innings the night before. Even though Iwakuma went 8 innings in that game, the bullpen still had to work again. So it was nice for Aaron to give him the night off, Dan.
Yeah, and that's one of the things they were talking about down in the dugout in their little meeting. Saunders and Harang. Hey, we got to take this under our wing. We got to give that bullpen a rest. They've been pitching a lot. We need to get deeper into ball games, and Aaron goes out and throws 9 innings.
Aaron out of San Diego, going back home tonight. Here's a shot off the bat. Venable drops in front of Endy Chavez for a base hit. Big plans to see the Yankees and the Mariners. 4-game showdown at Safeco Field. The Yankees will be in town June 6th through the 9th. It's their only visit to Seattle this season. Those great seats, they're still available. Can't miss weekend of baseball. They're now available. Mariners.com. Back to the top of the order, and here with Cabrera. Cabrera, Headley, and Grandal, 3 switch hitters in this lineup for Bud Black. Padres got 2 men on, first and third with 2 outs in the first. And now shut the door. Sucre makes the play on that bunt. Down to second goes Venable. Sacrifice. 2-3.
We had a chance to watch Sucre for the last couple of days, Dan. I know that you've had a chance to see him quite a bit. As you see this bunt, he gets out from behind home plate in good shape. Well, what are some of the things that you like about what he does behind the plate?
Well, I like the way he receives the ball, Mike. Does a nice job framing pitches. And we saw it a little bit there on that throw. He's got a nice throwing arm. And
above average, would you say?
I'd say it's above average, yeah.
Here's Amarista. Tell you what, during that pregame infield session, which they don't do often, a couple times a month maybe, zipping the ball all over the yard. It was very impressive.
Yeah.
Broken bat, foul ball.
Is it a big adjustment for him coming in at this time of the year, or because he had a chance to probably catch a lot of these guys in spring training, it's okay? But what do you think on that, Danny?
I mean, obviously it's going to be an adjustment for him, but I think having seen some of these pitchers in spring training is definitely a help. He had Brandon Maurer last year in Double-A, so that was a help. He's comfortable tonight with Brandon, so that's definitely some jitters, I think, but more and more he's probably pretty comfortable with some of these pitchers he's going to be catching.
Good news for Maurer. 17 of 24. Starts last year at Jackson. Sucre was his catcher.
Nice play right there to knock that ball down, keep the base runner at second base. As I recall too, Mike, I think Sucre lasted in spring training for pretty long. It was one of the later cuts. Nice if you see getting out in front of that ball, almost in the right-hander's batter's box.
He seems to be pretty quick back there with his feet.
2-2 to Amarista, 268 hitter entering today. Breaking ball. Go down to Dave Roberts, the first base coach.
I think that's a key, Mike, is being able to have quick feet behind there. I think you and I had a chance to watch Pudge Rodriguez for a lot of years, and he had an exceptional throwing arm. But I think the thing that I appreciated about him was his footwork and how quick his feet were as well. So when you put quick feet and a strong arm together, you get a Pudge Rodriguez who can throw the lights out of the ball. And what we've seen from Jesus so far, he's got some good feet and that strong throwing arm. So I think we're going to see some good things from this kid.
How long does it take for a catcher, or even for yourself when you were playing, where you had the guts to try to pick guys off and do some other things and not worry about throwing it down the right field line? Take a while?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think you need to feel a little bit more comfortable. Some guys make that a part of their game in the minor leagues, and so when they get here, they just kind of keep that as a part of their game. I was never one to throw to a lot of bases outside of a steal situation, but there are times when you have to keep guys honest and keep guys close, and I think Jesus is probably a guy who likes to throw to the bases a little bit more on pickoffs, and once he gets here, gets a little bit more comfortable, I think we'll begin to see that throwing arm more and more.
Made me think of that as Pudge.
Yeah.
If you were getting your lead at first base, you better be careful over there because he was so fast.
He loved it.
As you mentioned, you see a lot of guys up here that have strong arms, but his feet were so quick he could pick guys off.
Strike one to Chase Headley, a double his first time up with 2 outs. Wasn't Pudge one of the best during his time with a left-handed batter up, runner at first, throw behind that batter and sneak one down there real quick?
That's what made him tough, because you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Bringing a miss, 0-2.
You know, a lot of guys will throw from their knees, and Pudge would throw from his knees, but he was just as quick, I felt, coming up from a crouch and throwing from his feet as well. And he just, boy, he just had it all. He was the whole package.
Yeah.
Well, Venable, he's at third with 2 outs and an 0-2 here to Headley. Breaking ball struck him out. Nicely done by Brendan Maurer. His second strikeout. Second time he has stranded at least one runner aboard. It's 1-0 Mariners. Fly by Jesus Sucre in the second inning. Time now to check out our AT&T trivia question for tonight. Who is the all-time winningest pitcher for the San Diego Padres? You got Andy Bennis, Trevor Hoffman, Eric Chow, or Jake Peavy? Well, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
He played with Bennis late in his career. Hoffman, until Mariano Rivera passed him, was the leading save operator in the history of baseball. Peavy had, well, he won a Cy Young in San Diego. And Eric Chow, he gave up Pete Rose's record hit. Get back to the top of the order. I'm gonna go with Peavy.
I'll go with Chow.
Eric Chow.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Bennis.
Bouncing ball down to Alonso. Chavez retired.
Any particular reason, Dan?
Just because he was a teammate.
That's as good as any.
There you go.
In fact, that's better than most of the reasons Dave and I get for picking some of these.
See that dart? Where's it land sometimes? Kyle Seager is going to stand in. He struck out on a 1-2 pitch from Volquez. Volquez walked 2 in the second inning. And the first guy they walked, Michael Morris, came around and scored on the sacrifice fly. Fans right now jumping on Jake Peavy.
Quite a bit, actually, 53%.
talking to some people in San Diego today. To my recollection, I want to test you guys. This is the first time they've done this 2-2, where you go, it's 2-2 home and home, right?
Yes.
It's weird.
It is weird. I think for you guys, especially with the May that you've had, to go to San Diego for 36 hours and then pull out and go play 2 games in those 36 hours,
right?
And then pull up and go to Minneapolis. That's tough. Real tough.
The good news is when they finally work their way back from this next road trip.
20, baby.
Yeah, they'll be home quite a bit in June. It finally turns. So hopefully we'll see a lot of good baseball from the guys since they'll be home. And they played well at home. They're 2 games over 500 in this ballpark. So hopefully the month of June will be better for them. They were really doing a good job, Dan, and it's something that we had all talked about. If they can survive the first couple months of this schedule and stay in the neighborhood of 500, that would be some pretty good work since it's going to switch over for them. And they played well here.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss. Rendell throws down to Alonso. 2 outs. And we turn our attention to Angie Mentink. What do you have, Angie?
During the Mariners pregame show, we spoke with Mariners GM Jack Sorenzik, and he was telling us about right-hander Erasmo Ramirez making his first start of this season for AA Jackson following a triceps injury. And Ramirez goes 5 innings, giving up 1 earned run against Huntsville, throws 71 pitches, 49 for strikes. And guys, Jack C said if everything looked fine following tonight for Erasmo, he should make his next start in Tacoma. So stay tuned.
Good information. Thank you, Angie. Good news for that young man, Erasmo Ramirez. The little guy throws hard. He's had a hard time staying healthy lately. Raul Ibanez.
By the way, Dan, I'd like to thank you for thinking of how tough this is on the broadcasters, not worrying about the players as much, because I would agree. Thanks, buddy.
I'm just trying to pick you guys up, Flo. You know.
Oh, you're doing that tonight. Thanks.
1-1 to Raul. He's a kind old soul, isn't he?
Always has, man. Just get your bag here on time, Flo. That's all.
Didn't quite make that today, but we had an adjustment. We had a backup plan, Danny.
2 outs, nobody on. 2-1 to Raul Ibanez.
Guess we shouldn't be surprised with the last couple of weeks Raul has had, but it's pretty amazing to think. You know, you think about how much baseball he's played in his life, and here he is still doing it.
Yeah, and I think that the thing for me, you know, we saw last year.
Oh, man, got another sky-high pop. Alonso gets that one. Back on that point when we get back here to Safeco Field. And that youngster taking in a ball game, wearing his Mariner apparel, rocking it hard, looking good. Game of 2 here in Seattle before we go to San Diego. It never has a party space had such spectacular views as the Lookout Landing at Safeco Field. This outdoor group area offers near 360 degrees bird's eye view of Safeco Field, Elliott Bay, and Seattle cityscape. It's perfect for groups of 75 to 150. So your package, it includes view level seating and food and beverage. So book your group. Book it right now in Lookout Landing. Visit mariners.com/group. Those folks up there taking it in at Lookout Landing. Think of a vantage point. Hang out up there.
You've ever been up there, Dan?
No.
Some great views. Is it? Yeah.
Carlos Quentin to lead it off. Quentin, Alonso, and Grandal, 4, 5, and 6 here for San Diego. Quentin a base hit to left his first time up. Pretty good control of his off-speed pitches thus far.
I think he looks pretty good overall pitching here in the 4th inning. 36 pitches, 25 strikes. First pitch strikes to 10 out of the 13 batters he's faced. That's pretty good.
Good effort. Chavez cuts it off in the gap. Base hit. Hit that one hard. That is hit number 4 for San Diego.
I always wait a second after somebody dives for it like Brandon did. You just hope that they didn't hurt their shoulder or something when they dive out there like that. You look like his glove was caught up on the grass a little bit. That can be a wrist issue, but he looks like he's fine.
Well, just like you talked about with Morales last at bat earlier in the ball game, Mike. With Quentin, those are the kind of hits you give up with nobody on base. Yeah. Get yourself a double play here, but
popped up short left field for Chavez. Alonso lined out to Indy to end the first inning.
We're talking about Raul and how amazing he is, Dan.
Yeah,
he's DH tonight.
I think that what was interesting for me is, and you were talking about his age and getting older. Certainly, he is one of the more emphatic students of the game. He loves to learn about this game, and he's looking at every little thing. And I think he put a lot of that to use last year, late in the season. We saw with New York that the home runs late in the ball game, an incredibly clutch hitter. But I think that's really carried over here with the Mariners, and then the home runs he's hit for the Mariners here have been incredibly clutch again, and I think that's the part for me that's incredible. I love to watch that, and it takes, as you know, it takes a special kind of player to be able to come up in those situations and deliver big like he has.
It does. I think a couple of things about him that are really amazing to me. One, his workout routine he's legendary for that, which is actually a great example for the young players on the team. But the other thing, at that age, just to have the want to go out and do it. You know, we've all gotten to the point in our careers to where not quite as much fun as it used to be, and for him to still go out, and I give him a lot of credit. I think the mental side of this game is the toughest part. Even if physically you feel like you can still do it, it's just the want to continue to play and play at the level that he does.
Yeah, and I was in the clubhouse the other day, and there was a ball game on. I think Toronto was playing somebody, and they were looking at the catcher, trying to figure out if they could call pitches by the way he was setting up. I mean, he's always looking at any little advantage, and you're right. He's still got that drive at his age and the number of years he's played, and he's got a good approach mentally to this game.
3-1 to Yasmani Grandal, making his season debut. Sent up 50 games, PED suspension. Young man from Miami came over from Cincinnati in a deal with Volquez. Off the glove. Here's Ryan. There's Morales thrown down in the second to get him. Oh, safe. Getting in there just in time is Quentin.
I don't think there's any more that Brendan Ryan can do on this play. Looks like Maurer gets a piece of it as it goes by the mound, and then Brendan comes up and actually stops Quentin. Maybe get him going back a little bit more if he can. It's a good play all the way around, and he just beats the tag into second.
Good look at it down at second. Dan Bellino, the umpire. I was hoping to get that third out. So down at second is Quentin for Jed Jerko now. Slide out to center, back in the second inning. Jed, the second baseman today. Ball one. there for strike at breaking ball. 0-1. The old school colors of the San Diego Padres, worn back in the Dave Winfield days. Cito Gaston. What a wild pitch. Gets past Sucre. Never had a chance.
Take a look at it. It is a fastball, 94 miles an hour. And goes on all the way over on the other side of the batter's box. It looked like Sucre was set up inside, Dan. Not much of a chance for him to even get a glove on it.
No, that's a tough pitch right there to glove. I think he almost got to it, but.
Two outs and a 2-1 count to Jerko. Hit well, left field. Indy will watch it leave the yard as it goes over the bullpen. Home run for Jerko. His 6th. RBI 17 and 18. 2-run shot. San Diego's got a 2-1 lead. He left the pitch up 2-1.
Yeah, that was a mistake. This is a mistake with a breaking ball. They want it down and away, and he just leaves it right in the middle of the plate.
And the sound. Mauer, 9th home run he's given up. Back up the middle. Ryan had Katse play perfectly, throws him out. Damage done in the 4th. A single by Quentin. He comes around to score and a 2-run homer by Jerko, and the Padres lead it 2-1. On Root Sports is being brought to you by BNSF Railway, the engine that connects us. By Jack in the Box, the Chipotle Chicken Club Combo is back for a limited time at Jack in the Box. Try one today with fries and a drink for just $4.99 plus tax. And by Auburn Volkswagen, Das Auto. Good look at Elliott Bay. Bring you back here. Safeco Field. Mariners down 2-1. Dave Sims, Mike Blowers, Dan Wilson joining us here tonight. It'll be Morales, Morrison, Saunders, 4, 5, and 6. Here in the 4th inning. Andrews with an infield hit. 2nd, and it got around to 3rd, and then on the ground ball to 1st was forced at home. A nice play by the first baseman Alonso. Foul ball.
Danny, it's that time of the year, and I understand your daughter graduated on Sunday, so congratulations.
Thank you, Blow. Yeah, very nice graduation this past weekend. Nice little shindig at the house yesterday, and so we're excited for her. She's going off to college in the fall, and new chapter for her. So this is great news. So, yeah, thank you, Blow.
How are you good? Congratulations, Dan. How are you going to be with little baby going down to college.
I'm excited for it, but I think it's going to be tough. I think when it comes down to putting the keys in the ignition and finally pulling away after we move her into the dorm. But it's exciting. It's exciting for her, and we're really excited about it for her. So
she's really excited with the school choices made and what's going to pursue.
Yeah, she's going to go down to L.A. and go to school down there and Whittier College, and I think it's a perfect school for her, and she's looking forward to studying some art and some writing, and it's right up her alley.
That's beautiful. Congratulations. Big milestone for the family. Good stuff. Morris muscles one, center field, base hit. There we go. Let's revisit our AT&T trivia question. Who's the all-time winningest pitcher for the Padres? Let's see. Dan went with Andy Bennis. Mike went with Eric Schau. I went with Jake Peavy. Fans went with Peavy. Survey says Eric Schau won 100 games. 187 for the Pods from 81 to 90. Randy Jones, then Jake Peavy, Ed Whitson, and Andy Ashby.
Andy Ashby, heavy sinker.
Yes.
You ever face him?
Yep, tall.
Yeah.
He was just playing very well and just sunk that ball down. Yep.
Michael Saunders worked the walk in his first at bat. Gets into one, to the gap. That's going to get down. Morris to second. Tracking it down is Amarista. Morris getting a wave on. Here's the throw to the plate. He is out. Relay perfectly executed by the San Diego Padres to cut down Morse with the potential tying run. A double for Saunders, third on the throw. He's out 8-6-2.
Well, the good news of this play is that Michael Saunders hit the ball hard. We were talking about how important it is to get him going. But Amarista, the center fielder, plays it perfectly to Cabrera, the shortstop, and a strong throw to the plate to gun down Morris.
Waiting for him. Swing and a miss by Nick Franklin. Stone fielder's choice. Tying run at third for Franklin.
We'll take a look at Michael when the ball is hit. He gets a good read and takes off right away. He understands the center fielder Amarista is not going to get to it. So from there, he's just trying to stride it out, get to the plate. The big man trying to score from first.
Way inside to Franklin. A double by Saunders, his fifth of the season. Called on a high strike. Did Barrett, the home plate umpire. That's a fourth strikeout for Volquez. Good defense by the Padres. They cut down the tying run at home plate. 2-1 San Diego. Inning. Couple of changes here. Andy Chavez moves from left field to right field. Michael Morse out of the game. Jason Bay, and coming around third, Michael Morse going to use this pit crew.
You can see him right about there, the grimace on his face, and now he's just dragging his leg trying to get it to home. And then when he slides, you'll really be able to see it as he gets up. You can tell that there's an issue with his leg. So
and that fall right there, what that back twist there where he sits on it.
Right there, you can see it. When we hear from the clubhouse what the issue is, we'll let you know for that. I don't know, Danny, that looked like a hamstring to me.
Yeah. Boy, he gutted it out. He tried to get down that line, but you could tell the pain was there.
All outside to Will Venable leading off. 1-1. Venable, Cabrera, and Amarista 9-1-2 here in the fifth. Well, the catcher did what he's supposed to do. Take away that plate, and then in the contact he spun and rolled over on that back leg. It appears to be the leg that was injured coming around third. Bouncing ball foul. Worst collision you had at home plate? When somebody tried to put you in another house?
Yeah, I've had a couple of those.
You forgot them already. Can't remember.
Yeah. But
he put it on guys a lot more than he had to take it, I can tell you that. A little move there with the shin guard.
Fly ball. Andy Chavez, fair territory, makes the play.
We saw, I don't know if you saw, Danny, but the other day it was a ground ball of Brendan Ryan. He cut down the runner at the plate. In Kelly Shoppick, it was textbook. Showing him the plate, and last minute he threw a shin guard out there, and it was really amazing the fact that he was able to stop the runner right on a dime. I mean, he didn't get anywhere. It was textbook.
Yeah, it's a great.
Against AJ, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. AJ
and the advantage a catcher has over an infielder is throwing, an infielder sometimes will throw his leg down there, but it's a bare leg. Catcher's got that shin guard on there. It takes away the spike, and that's the play. You show them the play, you let them see what they're going to try to shoot for.
Right?
Yeah, you want them. I think the thing for a catcher is that you want to know where they're going to be. So you show them home plate, you give them half the plate to slide in so you know they're going to be there. When you catch the ball, then you can throw that shin guard right in front of it and block his path.
This play, Seager called off his pitcher, Brendan Maurer, to make the play.
That's the key to this play. Kyle taking charge of it. He was playing in. He had the leadoff hitter, Cabrera, who can get down the line in good shape. He cues this off of the end, and it looked like Brandon, who's a good athlete, was going to make the play, but Kyle called him off of it. Was able to throw him out by a step. Good play by Kyle Seager.
Adrian Beltre will request the audio of that one.
He'd be proud of it. That's for sure.
Had a couple of plays with pitchers. I don't know if you saw that, Danny, where pitchers were eager to make the play, and they fouled up a couple of them, and it worked out well for the Mariners.
It's funny because you always think about communication blow more on pop-ups than you do ground balls, but you communicate a lot on ground balls too, don't you?
Here's a high fly ball deep to right field. Amarista has just left the building. His fourth home run, and Maurer's given up his second jack of the night. It's 3-1 San Diego.
Both of them have come off of off-speed pitches in the middle of the plate. We'll take a look at this pitch. Looks like the changeup again. It was the changeup before, and another changeup in the middle of the plate. And if you don't locate that pitch, speed the bat head up, and that's typically what's going to happen to it.
Fourth home run for Amarista's 15th RBI. Second home run tonight by San Diego. A 2-out, 2-run homer in the fourth by Jed Jerko. Here's Headley.
Well, the frustrating part of both of them is that there were 2 outs. He gave them both up with 2 outs.
Headley a double off the center field fence and a strikeout. .345 feet on that home run by Amarista. Two. 3 runs on 6 hits for San Diego, a run on 3 hits for the Mariners. It's 2-2. It's in the bottom, Franklin. Handles with no problem. And that'll do it as we head to the home fifth. It'll be Sucre, Ryan, and Chavez coming your way when we get back to Safeco Field. Tracer Technology is brought to you by the Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. Mariners on a short end right now to San Diego, 2-1. They've hit a couple of home runs, a 2-run shot by Jerko and a solo blast by Amaristo. And here's Jesus Sucre. He's accounted for the Mariner run, a sacrifice fly in the second inning. I mean, Sucre, Ryan, and Chavez 8, 9, and 1 for the Mariners. Off the end of the bat, Jerko throws to Alonso for one down here in the fifth. Here's Angie Mente.
Guys, what is old is new again. Don't miss the debut of Root Sports Sunday Night Classics. And the first one is this Sunday, June 2nd at 9 o'clock. Hear the call of Dave Niehaus from Randy Johnson's no-hitter in 1990. The first no-no in Mariners history. See it for the first time on television. For a complete broadcast schedule of Sunday Night Classics, visit rootsports.com. Guys.
All right, Angie, thank you very much. Here's Brendan Ryan, flied out the center, 0 for 1. One down here in the fifth. Headley backhands, throws him out, 2 outs. I don't hear a ton about Headley, but
he's a good player.
Good one, as he got a Gold Glove and a Silver Slugger last year. Back to the top of the order, Andy Chavez. Edison Volquez comes in with a record of 3 up and 5 down, a 5.76 ERA. 2 starts last year against the Mariners, gave up 1 run and a total of 13 in the third innings. No decisions for him. Come on. 2-0 Chavez. Chavez started the game in left field, has since moved to right with Michael Morse having to come out of the ball game. Michael apparently has injured himself, being thrown out at the plate for the second out in the 4th inning. Got a score from first on a double by Michael Saunders. 2-1.
Andy, were you playing when Andy was hurt here?
No.
You guys teammates? You weren't?
No.
Such a bad deal. He ran into Betancourt.
little flare in left field just when he tore up his knee. I wasn't sure if they were part of the team then or not.
Indy was screaming, I got it, I got it, I got it. 11,911 on hand here tonight. Full count to Chavez. Volquez has struck out 4, walked 2. Down the line, left fielder Katse sees it go foul. Mariners with a record of 22 wins, 29 losses. 9.5 back, 4th place in the West in the American League. Trying to win their 3rd consecutive ball game after dropping 8-3-2 to Indy. Line drive and put away by Jerko. That'll do it. Line drive ends the 5th inning for the Mariners, who trail 3-1. Big brought to you by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By Sterling Bank, nobody works harder for you. Equal housing lender, member FDIC. And by Linwood Honda, experience the difference. Beautiful look at the Emerald City, Seattle, Washington, where the Mariners trail 3-1 to the San Diego Padres, their quote-unquote natural rivals. Scene shifts to San Diego for the next 2 games. Mariners will go for a weekend visit to Minneapolis and come right home. They'll be home, start the month of June on Monday, June 3rd, against the White Sox for 3, the Yankees for 4, and the Astros for 3. Carlos Quentin 2 for 2. Went a big home run hitter in his days, during his days with the White Sox. Big power. 1-1. Center field, backing up Saunders. He's under. 1 out. 1 down here in the 6th. Time for a CenturyLink to what's next. And on the docket for tomorrow, Saunders against Eric Stultz, and then Thursday, Felix Hernandez against Andrew Cashner. Felix looking to turn it around. He's had a couple of bad outings the last 2 starts. ERA still outstanding at 2.51. There's Alonso lined out to center and fly to center.
Well, Mike Mauer done a nice job getting ahead of the hitters. 23 hitters he's faced tonight, 17 of them have gotten first pitch strikes. So he's done a nice job of getting ahead. I think his pace has picked up like they wanted him to. He looks like a good pitcher tonight. I think that the 2 mistakes he made were the changeups and those pitches that have hurt him.
With 2 outs, which is a shame because I agree with you. I think when you look overall, 68 pitches now, and when you're looking at it, 2 mistakes and they both cost you, that's painful, especially with 2 outs. But I agree. I think he's been much more aggressive with his fastball, and he's had a good one tonight.
Ryan backhands, can't make the play. Alonso is aboard. Good base hit.
Almost hit hard to the backhanded side. Let's see what kind of hop he gets. A little bit of an in-between hop. Came up on him and hit him on the heel of his glove.
One out for Yasmani Grandal, switch hitting catcher. Fly to left, grounded out. Line drive left field. Bay has to play it on the hop. One out, 2 on. Padres mounting another challenge here.
It's a good pitch. I think you have to give Grandal some credit on that one. It pitches low, right on the outside corner, and he serves it into left.
Right, young catching prospect. Miami native Carl Willis. A couple quick words from Maurer. T-shirt Tuesday. It's coming back with a force on June 4th as the Mariners host the White Sox. This T-shirt is voted on by you, the fans, is the May the 4 Morse Be With You T. It celebrates the Mariners outfield. Get your tickets to see this winning T-shirt Tuesday. Tuesday design on mariners.com/shirts. Log in and get with it.
See if I can get you one of those T-shirts, Dan. You can wear it for your softball game that you're going to have here at Safeco. When is that? The 15th?
15th of June.
15th of June. It's going well, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a great afternoon. Proceeds to go to the United Way and youth homelessness here in King County, and we have a pretty fun afternoon. We got Jay and Edgar are going to be out here, and Gary Payton's coming in town for the event, along with Slick Watts, and Golden Tate from the Seahawks will be here. So we're going to have a great afternoon. Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam, he's going to play a little softball with us, so it's going to be a fun event, and proceeds are going to a great cause, and it's just going to be a good thing to bring your family out to and enjoy the day.
You going to get any hits in that one? Or?
Well, I'm a little worried, Blow, because I haven't been swinging the bat. Yeah, I think fans should go to the website uwkc.org/softball to get tickets, and we'll see you out here June 15th. It's going to be a great time.
Downloaded Jerko. He hit a 2-run homer and a 2-1 pitch with a man aboard, 2 outs back in the 4th inning.
You can see from that graphic he has been hot. 6 home runs this month.
Mariners had the lead first on a Sucre sacrifice fly in the 2nd inning. Bounces away and the runners move up. A wild pitch. 2nd one this evening by Brandon Maurer.
This pitch in the dirt. Sucre gets down there. You see a tip off of his glove. Sometimes that glove, if it doesn't hit it in the right spot, Blow, it can kick off one direction or the other. That one kind of kicked off to his right. Move the runners up.
3-1 count here with runners at 2nd and 3rd. And he loses them. The bases are loaded for Mark Kotsay. First walk issued by Brandon Maurer.
We always talk about, Danny, whether it's you or Val, you guys obviously played here for a long time, and when you're talking about blocking, who was it along the way that taught you how to block it? You kept everything in front of you. Was there one particular person that worked with you to get you to where you were at, or is it something that you just were always able to do?
No, I think in terms of blocking a ball, it's a pretty basic fundamental move for a catcher. I had a lot of good coaches along the way. Nothing that one person stands out, but something that I took a lot of pride in. I know Val took a lot of pride in as well, and it's something you just got to throw your body in front of the ball, and a lot of times you see young catchers try to catch the ball They move their glove around a lot, and really you want to just let that ball hit you right in the chest protector so it drops right in front of you. And it takes a little courage to get out there and do that, but
I just think it's interesting because you see some catchers, they do a good job. Just take a look at Jeff Dapp. It's good to see him in uniform and out at the ballpark, but sometimes it seems the ball gets away from some guys further than there's other guys like yourself when you were playing that you just smothered. Everything seemed to stay right around the plate.
Well, just like hitting, Mike, there's a timing to it. There's a rhythm to it.
1-1 pitch hammered into the gap. That'll get a couple. 5-1 lead for San Diego. 2 RBIs picked up by Mark Kotsay. His first hit tonight. 2 RBIs takes him to 4 on the season. Randall Mauer's in trouble.
Good hitting by Kotsay, the veteran, running fastball. Doesn't try to do too much with it and lines it back up the middle. Came into the game hitting .289. We were talking about Raul. Kotsay's been around for a long time too, and he can still get it done. Hitting .289 at the start of the game, picks up a couple of RBIs there.
Good piece of clutch hitting right there. As you said, he went with it, Blow. It's so important with runners in scoring position, not try to do too much, not roll over on that pitch, but take that one right up the middle or the other way. And you're right, he's a veteran. He knew what to do with it.
Big hit for the Padres, who came into tonight's game hitting just 179 with bases loaded before that base hit by Kotsay. Scored Alonso and Grandal. Down to second goes Jerkoff. Still 1 out. Will Venable 1 for 2.
We had a shot earlier. Charlie Furbush, the left-hander, getting loose in the bullpen. This next pitch will be 80 from Mauer.
Fly ball right field. Long run. Chavez running out of room on the track. Jumps. Makes the catch. Andy Chavez, a sparkling play. 2 down.
You hit it out in the corner, you're going to have a chance to make the play. It's 380 up against the fence in that area where Indy is at, and the key to it all is a well-timed jump. Another good look at him as he gets closer to the fence and timing his jump perfectly to make the catch.
He's got great awareness on the track and of the wall.
Mariner signing him at the end of spring training, and it's been a good sign for him with Gutierrez still on the DL, and Indy's, when he's had a chance to fill in, has done a good job.
Eric Wicks coming to get Mauer. He with Cabrera is going to be the hitter when we come back. Charlie Furbush to take over. Tough go for Mauer. He leaves trailing 5-1. Five to 1. One of the highlights, and Andy Chavez, another defensive gem out in right field off the bat of Will Venable.
Well, it's all timing. He gets back. You can see him take a look at where the wall is a couple of times, and he times his jump perfectly to make the catch.
Solid player. Indy Chavez has done a good job. Came into the game hitting .310, along with playing some excellent defense for the Mariners.
Let's take a look at the Mariners calendar, brought to you by Slip Country USA. 2 games with San Diego at San Diego, and then the Twins, our only visit to Minnesota. Nice homestand coming up for you. Get your tickets now. White Sox, they played a lot better ball since when we last saw them. And let's see, the Yankees come in, followed by Houston. Brandon Maurer chased, and Mikey's got some things to tighten up, doesn't he?
Well, I think so. Again, I actually thought he threw the ball well, Dan, and we were talking about it earlier. A couple of hanging changeups hurt him, but I like the way that he was using his fastball today. As you take a look at his outing overall, 5 2/3, 9 hits, 5 runs. It's not going to look good in the morning for him, but I thought he threw the ball much better.
Charlie Furbush takes over.
20th appearance, a 3.98 ERA for Charlie. 29 strikeouts to 11 walks. Only given up 12 hits this year. Cabrera, switch hitter, will turn around, hit right-handed against him.
Cabrera, 309 hitter, right-handed, 248 left-handed. Started the day at 265. Charlie and Jim here, a couple of men on. 2 outs. Breaking ball misses.
Yeah, I think the story for Brandon tonight is just the elimination of those mistakes. A couple of changeups up that hurt him for home runs, and then the pitch to Kotsay that had a little bit of elevation to it on the outside corner, and those are the hits that did the damage tonight. So
at this level, that's the difference, though.
Yeah,
he might get away with some of those pitches in AAA or even AA where he pitched last year. So yeah, he's learning, and sometimes taking those lumps can be difficult. But I liked the command he had of his fastball.
2 balls, 1 strike to Cabrera. Couple runners aboard. Jerko at second, Kotsay at first with 2 down. Cabrera 0 for 2 with the sacrifice tonight. Three and 1. Purpose trying to put out the fire. Kotsay's driven in 2 here in the 6th, expanding that lead to 5-1. Now he got a low strike. 3 and 2. Padres come in having lost 3 of their last 4 games. 12 and 12 in the month of May. Ball 4, and they're loaded again. Charlie Furbush walks his first. Man, as we look northward towards the downtown area, look past CenturyLink Field. Great colors with the sun setting. Still got time. Only 8:45 Pacific. Good splash of colors.
We're going to get a pinch hitter. Chris DeNorfia going to pinch hit for Amarista.
DeNorfia does some pinch hitting now with the bases loaded in the 6th. DeNorfia, 303 hitter in 44 games. He's 1 for 3 with an RBI as a pinch hitter.
He's hitting .327 against left-handers this year with a couple of home runs.
Big swing and a miss. Bases are loaded. You got Jerko at third. Down to second is Katse, and Cabrera's at first. Veteran player, utility guy. DeNorfia can play a lot of spots. Pitch misses. 1-1. He's had a lot of success with the bases loaded.
I think one of the big reasons why is what we saw. He came off the bench, took a pretty good hack at that first pitch fastball. That was a strike and out over the plate. And guys that are aggressive in these situations, especially coming off the bench, are usually going to have more success.
I think too, Mike, these guys, these National League teams are a little bit more used to coming off the bench. There's a lot more personnel moves in the National League with the pitching changes and whatnot. So this guy's a little bit more used to coming off the bench in these kinds of situations.
That's a good point. And one of the things that Buddy Black has with his club, this Padre club, is he has a number of guys that he has some flexibility with because they can play a number of positions.
1-1 to DeNorfia. Bases loaded. Breaking ball gets that outside corner. 1-2. DeNorfia coming off a terrific year in 2012, career best. Games played, batting average, doubles, triples, runs, stolen bases. Tied his career best in RBI as well with 36. One and two. Pitch from Furbush. Breaking ball hit down to Nick Franklin. Bobbles. Throws. Everybody's safe. 6-1. San Diego. Could be an E4. Coming in to score is Jerko on the E4.
And jams DeNorfia, hits a routine ground ball out to second base. It looked like Franklin was in good shape to field. It came up just a little bit as it hits off the heel of his glove. And unfortunately for him, the ball bounced away far enough with DeNorfia's speed. He's able to beat it out.
Inning stays alive. Ninth man to the plate, Chase Headley. Strike one. Bouncing ball, fair ball. Seager, long throw, got him. Needed it. Big time. 3 runs on 3 hits and an error. They leave them loaded. San Diego's got a 6-1 lead. 61 here in the 6th inning to the San Diego Padres. You know, at the Mariners team store, you can pick up gear to wear that the players wear, including the new 2013 Diamond Era batting practice cap. This lid is made from lightweight performance fabric with superior cooling and UPF protection. To pick up your very own Mariners BP cap, visit any one of the 5 convenient team store locations. 61 degrees here, cool yet comfortable. Kyle Seager going to lead it off here in the home 6. Seager, Ibanez, and Morales against Edison Volquez. He's got a career 3-0 record and a 2.67 ERA against the Mariners. Kyle, a couple of strikeouts tonight. Strike one.
Just gets more difficult too now that he has a lead, a 5-run lead. It's going to be more difficult for the guys. Volquez is somebody that we talked about. He can get wild at times and walk batters. I don't think we're going to see much of that. He's going to use his fastball, be more aggressive in the strike zone with it. And he has good movement on it tonight, Dan. So that makes it more difficult for the guys to try to get back in this one.
Yeah, he really only had trouble there in the second where he walked a couple guys back to back. But other than that, he's been pretty tough on the Mariners tonight. First pitch strikes about half and half, but outside of that, he's done a pretty good job keeping these guys in check.
He's been efficient. This right here will be the 69th pitch working here in the 6th inning.
Ground ball to the second baseman. Jerko throws over to Alonso for out number 1 here in the 6th inning. Here's Angie Menten.
Guys, you know, there is so much talent down in Double-A. Reliever Carson Smith that really caught the Mariners' eye in spring training at Peoria, and he's continued to the last month or so as well. He's currently playing at Double-A Jackson, where he's really showcasing the skills. He's not given up an earned run in his last 10 innings. In addition, he has at least 1 strikeout in all 15 of his appearances this year. And by the way, guys, Jackson won this evening in the bottom of the 9th, 5-4.
Angie, thank you very much. Here's Raul Ibanez. A couple of pop-ups, 1 foul, 1 fair. He's 0 for 2.
There were a couple of pop-ups, but I can tell you this: he was getting the barrel to it. He's putting a good swing on a couple of fastballs, and he just missed them. And Raul's been a hot hitter for the Mariners. 9 home runs on the year, and he's just missed a couple of pitches tonight.
Hits this one well. Center field. Gone back is Will Venable. Max's daddy, of course, played with Montreal. 2 down.
Played with the Angels too, didn't he?
Max, so, yeah.
Well, as you said, Blow, just missing them. I think when you're going good, even your outs are hit hard. Even if you pop it up, like you mentioned, this ball hit pretty good to center field as well. He's really locked in right now.
Yeah, so is this guy, Morales. Morales has really been swinging the bat well. He's 1 for 2. Had an infield hit, strikeout swinging.
Outside, Max Venable. Giants, Montreal, Cincinnati, California. 12 years in the bigs.
That infield hit for Kendricks. He's extended his hitting streak to 8 games now.
Well hit. Center field. Venable, long run on the track. Reaches up and makes the catch. That one was tagged really well, but stays in the park. And Venable, a former basketball player at Princeton University, tracks it down. A 1-2-3 inning for Volquez in the 6th. Nice work by Indy Chavez, and he saw Michael Moore sliding, limping, and then sliding into home. He's had to leave the ball game. Tom Simons does a fabulous job putting those music videos together. Padres lead it 6-1. In the 6th inning, Padres sent 9 men to the plate, scored 3 times on 3 hits on 1 Mariner error, and left the bases loaded. Leading off again is Carlos Quentin. Thanks. Here's a drive to left field. Going back, reaching up is Bay for the catch. Quentin 2 for 4 tonight. I'll bring up Yonder Alonso. A line out to center, fly to center, and infield hit and a run scored tonight. Charlie Furbush on in relief of Brandon Maurer. There's a breaking ball for strike. Some popped up. Franklin will take it. 2 outs. 2 outs here in the 7th. Get downtown from the airport for only $2.75 on Sound Transit's Link Light Rail. See how easy it is at soundtransit.org. Switch hitting catcher Yasmani Grandal, bat right-handed. He's 1 for 3 so far tonight. Mariners scored first in the 2nd inning. A Sucre sacrifice fly. Since then, it's all San Diego. Breaking ball hit to left field, backing up Bay again. And he makes the catch. Well, long fly balls. Charlie Furbush, a clean 7th inning. Home 7th coming up. It'll be Bay, Saunders, and Franklin. What happens when you combine trucks with bucks? Well, you get an amazing second chance scratch game. Win a new truck or one of 6 $10,000 cash prizes. Play the Trucks and Bucks second chance scratch drawing from Washington's lottery today. Visit WALottery.com for details. Beautiful night as nightfall starts to descend. Jason Bay will get his first at bat. He's in the ball game. Michael Morris tried to score from first on this double to the gap by Michael Saunders. You pick up Morris right here. You can see him grimacing. Slides in, and then the catcher rolls over on that right leg. And he left shortly thereafter. Looked like the left leg also jammed in there too, Dan.
Yeah, it looked like maybe coming around third base, Dave, maybe a hamstring, and all he could do to get to home plate, and then the slide probably aggravated it even more.
First pitch to Bay. Breaking ball for a strike. Here's field one. Last ball swing and a miss. Bay 4 for 10 on the homestand. 3-game hitting streak. Volquez deals, and it pitched outside. Danny Farquhar heating up. Volquez has retired the last 7 men that he's faced. Rendell thought he had one. You hear Ted Barrett say, no outside. Right quad strain for Michael Morse. Breaking ball hit down the third, foul.
I think that's better news than a hamstring, wouldn't you, Dan?
Yeah, I think so. I think quads can be a little bit quicker than a hamstring.
It's coming from somebody.
Dodgers lead the Angels 3-0, top of the 8th. That's in Chavez Ravine. Oakland 4-1 over the Giants in Oakland. That's bottom of the 5th. Houston trailing, loses 2-1 at home to Colorado as Bay takes a called third strike. Here's Angie Mentink.
Guys, Jeremy Bonderman got the start down for the Rainiers tonight, and he was pretty darn good. He allows just 1 run in this start over 4 innings. Could be his final appearance for Tacoma. This was against Colorado Springs. Dustin Ackley, guy of the way, was out at second base. He went 0 for 4. Mike Zunino hit his 9th home run of the season. Tacoma scores 3 runs in the 7th to take it 5-4. Gentlemen?
All right, Angie, thank you very much. Here's Michael Saunders, 1 for 2 with a double. Make that 1 for 1 with a walk, beg your pardon.
It was good to see Michael square up a fastball. He hit it hard into the gap in right center field. Certainly helped this offense out if they can get him going in the right direction again.
Saw some aggressive swings, like you mentioned. His first time up, fouled that one down the left field line deep, and then jumped all over that double, Mike. And you're right, it's good to see him swinging that bat and being aggressive.
Mariners are run on 3 hits with an error. San Diego 6 runs, 9 hits, no errors. Padres have left 6 men aboard, 3 aboard, been left by the Mariners. 1-1. The strength 75 miles an hour, 1 and 2.
I think what I liked about it, Danny, is he's on the fastball. And we were talking about him being in between, not quite, a little bit late on the fastball out in front of the breaking ball. Be right on something, and it looks like he wants to hit the heater tonight. He's squared it up.
Two and 2.
I think too, as a hitter, Mike, you want to be on that fastball, then you can work off of there. But when you're going to get beat by that fastball and you try to cheat to catch up, that's when you're going to get caught, and it's a perpetual cycle, as you know. So when you're on that fastball, you have the confidence to wait for the breaking ball as well.
Saunders, the last man to get on base with the double. We showed you that was back in the 4th inning. It's worked a 3-2 count.
Good situation here, Mike, late in the game, 3-2. I would think Volquez has come after him with a fastball right here, but
I would think so too. Up 6-1.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to walk batters. It's been an issue for him walking people.
Walk 2 tonight. And this one off the foot of Saunders.
He went to the breaking ball.
And Michael out in front of it, and you'll see him hit it, look like off the top of his foot, and it is off his toe.
One out, nobody on. Mariners need base runners. Payoff to Saunders. Lost him with the ball 4. Second time Saunders has walked. It's the 3rd walk of the evening issued by Volquez as we take a look at our Head and Shoulders pitch sequence. Last time for Nick Franklin.
I'll tell you, we talked about Volquez with the good fastball, and he misses with that first one. Comes back with another one. That one down. The bases are loaded, so he's trying to work down in the zone. There's a good curveball on the outside corner. Misses with it. Looked like a changeup there, and then here's the ground out by Franklin as they go home to get the lead runner with the bases loaded.
Well, the key there, Blow, keeping that ball down. Breaking balls were up a little bit. They were away, but that fastball was down and got the ground ball.
Strike 1 to Nick. There's Debbie and Steve, his parents. Debbie's first T-ball coach. Make a switch hitter. Hit .324 with 4 homers and 20 runs batted in at Tacoma. Took a called 3rd strike in the 4th inning. He saw the fielder's choice in the 2nd. On the outside, 2-1.
Volquez now, he's up to 92 pitches, so they're getting loose out in the pen.
Mariano Rivera blew his first save tonight. Mets 2 in the bottom of the 9th to beat the Yankees 2-1. 2-1 pitch here to Franklin. Got a play.
How many in a row was that for him? Something like 18, wasn't it? 18 or 19 saves in a row for Rivera. We were talking about Ibanez earlier.
18 in a row.
18, yeah. It's amazing what Rivera is doing.
Yeah, and coming off that serious injury, too.
That's right.
But that pitch that he throws, that cutter, that natural little cutter that he's got is just, it's tough.
2-2 with Saunders at first, 1 out. Pitch to Franklin. Popped up, short left field, foul territory. Katse for the catch. 2 outs. Take a look at our Land Rover scoreboard. Interleague action. Mets 2 runs in the 9th to beat Rivera and the Yankees. His first blown save. Played top of the 12th in Milwaukee. Minnesota. Milwaukee locked up 5-5.
I think Harvey started that game for the Mets.
Went 8 innings, 6 hits, a run, no walks, 10 Ks. Took his ERA down to 1.85.
All I've seen of him is the highlights, and they're impressive.
Big kid, throws hard, good command. Breaking, I mean, he's got the whole package.
Yes.
Of course, they're making comparisons to Seaver and Gooden and all that kind of stuff back there in Metland. But he's been good. Covered SI a couple of weeks ago. Sucre accounted for the Mariners' only run. Sacrifice fly in the 2nd inning. Off the end of the bat. And no play for the catcher Grandal. 1-1. Mariners with 3 hits tonight. Infield hit Morales in the 2nd. 4th inning, 2 hits. A single to center by Morrison, a double to center by Saunders. That's it. Breaking breaking ball hit down to third baseman Headley. The short way for the force, and that will do it. To the 8th we go. It is all San Diego, but Cutie Pie looks like she's got her headphones on. She's probably digging some Sesame Street music about now. At our Columbia Bank difference in the game. Take you back to the 4th inning, boys. How about this double play that could have been, should have been? And get the front end, can't get Quinton at second. And then Jet Jerko on a 2-1 pitch. 2-run homer over the bullpen. Left field. That's our Columbia Bank difference in the game. Mariners bring on their 3rd pitcher tonight. Charlie, make that Danny Farquhar.
3 appearances for Danny, 9.5 ERA for him. 9 strikeouts in the 5 2/3 innings that he has thrown. He has good fastballs. 4-seamer, be 95, 96 miles an hour. He throws a cutter up there at about 91. Mix in a slider and a curveball.
Here's Jet Jerko to lead off. Bottom 3rd of the order for the Padres. Jerko, Katse, and Venable. Foul back. Couple runs scored tonight by Jet. 2, swing and a miss. High heat getting 1 out in the 8th.
Well, we said it. Danny has a good fastball. This one is at 95 miles an hour, up out of the strike zone.
Good sequence of pitches there too, Mike. He threw that little cutter for the first strike, and then a little curveball for the second strike, and then ran that fastball up the ladder.
Katse, big 2-run single.
Fourth appearance we've been able to see him, and his fastball, I think, is surprising to a lot of hitters. We've seen some strikeouts from him. That's his 10th strikeout in 6 innings of work, and his fastball gets on people. We've seen him top out at 96.
Yeah, and that one kind of exploded at the plate. I think when you throw that cutter at around 90, I think that slows the bat down a little bit, and then he comes back with that fastball at 95. It's tough to catch up.
3-0 here to Katse. down Franklin. Throws out Katse for out number 2 here in the 8th inning. Bring up Will Venable. 1 for 3. Base hit to left. Fly out to right. And drove Andy Chavez make a leaping catch against the wall in deep right center field. All Ivy League performer in basketball and baseball. Only the second person to do it. Remember big center slash pitcher Chris Young. Played for San Diego and the Mets among other teams. The other guy to do it.
Did he go to Princeton?
Oh yeah.
I think former Mariner Scott Bradley is the head baseball coach there at Princeton.
Still is, yep. Venable majored in anthropology. Princeton, New Jersey. 1-2. Two outs, nobody on. Pitch. Struck him out. Nice out by Danny Farquhar on 1-2-3-8. Be Ryan, Chavez, and Seeger coming up 9-1-2 with still time to get back in this ball game. Sports being brought to you by Mazda. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. And by Captain Morgan, raise your glass, always in moderation, to life, love, and lose. 6-1 lead for the Padres in this copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. Still got some outs to play with to climb out of this hole against Edison Volquez. Kyle Blanks takes over in left field for Mark Katse. Brendan Ryan behind 0-1. Flied out to center, grounded out to third.
This next pitch for Volquez will be 99. Season high is 102. This will definitely be his last inning.
1 to Ryan. Puts it down to the second baseman, Jerko. 1 out. Joe Thatcher is warming up. Okay, it's been impressive tonight. 5 strikeouts, walked 3, had a stretch where he retired 8 consecutive hitters. That's what he's done tonight, coming up on pitch number 99. This Andy Chavez lined out to second his last time out. He's 0 for 3. Mariners led early. 1-0 in the second inning. Sucre with a sacrifice fly. Since that time, Padres 2 in the fourth, 1 in the fifth, 3 in the sixth. Home runs were the problem for Brandon Maurer. 2-run shot to Jerko in the fourth. Solo shot in the fifth by Alexi Amarista. And Katze, a big 2-run single in the sixth. One. Up and down wide for Edison Volquez. Looking for his first win since 5th of May. The Brown, good shortstop, throws out Andy Chavez. It's 2 down. To support those affected by disasters like the recent tornadoes in Oklahoma and Texas, text Red Cross to 90999. And this will make a $10 donation to the Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. Kyle Seager for 3, couple strikeouts. 2 outs here in the Mariners' 8th. Volquez lost his first 3 decisions, then had a no decision. He lost to Mets, at Colorado, and Colorado again. No decision at San Francisco. Then he went a win against Milwaukee, a win at the Cubs, and a win against Arizona. Tampa Bay, no decision, and then he loses to Washington and St. Louis, both at home. Mariners looking for their first hit since the Saunders double in the 4th inning. There's a base hit. Line drive to right field off the bat of Kyle Seager.
Kyle Seager knows what to do with the 2-0 fastball. Volquez goes right at him. Fastball 90 miles an hour, and he hits it hard into right field for a base hit. Kyle now 1 for 4.
Harry Ralston Bud Black going to make a pitching change after seeing that tracer hit by Seager. Well, he got a fine effort tonight from his starter, Edison Volquez. Volquez leaves with a 5-run lead. in the 8th. Mariners 2 outs and a man on. Edison Volquez, strong performance tonight.
7 2/3, gave him just the 4 hits. Threw 105 pitches, ended up with 5 strikeouts. Did walk 3 batters. But overall, he was in command of this one. Danny had a good fastball tonight. Eventually mixed in a changeup and a breaking ball.
Yeah, it didn't hurt himself and got into some key situations. You see the breaking ball there to Seager. Kept the ball down in the zone. I think that was a big key for him. You can see the Mariner hitters trying to reach for it down there. He got Franklin on a nice little changeup out there, but for the most part had pretty much control of this Mariner lineup. And he's pitched well against the Mariners, Blow, and you can see why.
Yeah, he had a 2.6 ERA against the Mariners 3-0 record, and he improved on that tonight.
There's Raul Ibanez. It's Joe Thatcher. Raul tonight. High foul out to the first baseman, a pop out to the first baseman, and deep drive to center. Run down by Amarista back in the 6th. Check down at 3rd. Mike DeMuro says he did not go. Joe Thatcher's been with San Diego since 07.
25 appearances this year. That's a lot of appearances already, but he's pitched well. A 1.76 ERA for him. Opponent's average is 2.67.
Two and one.
Pretty unique delivery. Blow really comes across his body to the left-handers, but ironically left-handers hit him a little bit better than the right-handers do, but kind of a unique delivery.
3-1.
Now you would think that the right-handers would see the ball well out of his hand. The lefties, it has to look like it's basically being let go from behind them.
Yeah.
You really have to keep that front shoulder in there.
3-1 to Raul. And he'll take the walk. 2 out. 2 on.
Well, as Bud Black comes out to take another look into his bullpen. He's had enough of Thatcher for tonight.
Bases 1 batter, walked him on a 3-2 count. Back with more. 6-1 San Diego. One, 2 outs, couple of men on. And the third pitcher of the inning, they bring in Dale Thayer, a right-hander. Andres Morales will turn around and swing left-handed. He's got an infield hit, a strikeout. Fly ball deep to center, right to the wall for Amarista back in the 6th. Fair for the third base side of rubber. First pitch to Morales in there for strike.
Look at the numbers. Fourth there, a 3.6 ERA for him. How about opponent's average? Just 176. He's given up 3 home runs, but only 12 hits in 20 innings pitched.
Big swing by Morales, 0-2.
A couple of good fastballs from him, both of them at 95 miles an hour.
They're out of Fountain Valley, California, lives in Murrieta, California. Been with Tampa Bay, the Mets, and now his second year with San Diego. Did not go. This is Mike Morales.
Another fastball blow coming right at Morales. Kind of a slinger. Just letting it fly. Trying to run that ball away from Morales.
Well, it looked like on that last pitch, see the check swing from Kendricks, and it was a pretty good run on that fastball.
2 outs and a 1-2 pitch. Out the end of the bat, long run, Venable coming in, and he makes the catch. Venable, long run. He retires Morales. The Mariners strand 2 to the 9th, 6-1 San Diego. MLB.TV celebrates 11 years with new low yearly prices. Watch every out-of-market game live on over 350 supported mobile and connected devices in HD quality with MLB.TV Premium. Visit MLB.TV today. MLB.TV. Baseball everywhere. Danny Farquhar pitching D with Cabrera. Top of the order for San Diego. Cabrera, DeNorfia, and Headley. Volquez, guy that had been struggling, really dominated the Mariners tonight. 7 2/3 inning, 4 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Farquhar pitched a 1-2-3/8. This one playable. Ryan's got a good angle. Makes the play. One out here in the San Diego 9th inning. They'll bring up Chris DeNorfia. Pinch hit in the 6th inning. DeNorfia reached on an error by second baseman Nick Franklin that would have ended the inning, but the Mariners picked him up as Headley recorded the final out in that 6th inning. A 3-run, 3-hit inning for San Diego, and they left the bases loaded.
I think for as well as Volquez pitched tonight, guys, they really had, the Mariners had him on the ropes there in that 2nd inning with bases loaded, nobody out, only able to pick up the 1 run. And they scored a couple more there. Might have changed the complexion of the ball game.
And they had an opportunity in the 4th. Unfortunately,
Michael Morris ended up hurting a quad right about the time that Darren Brown was waving him around third, and ended up not being able to finish the play. Was tagged out at the plate, so that's another run. And Saunders is at third at that point, so you're in pretty good shape. But Michael ended up getting hurt. Hopefully it's only for a day or two. We'll have to wait and see. But then after that, the Padres scored some runs for Volquez, and that's when he became very aggressive with his fastball, and I thought pitched really well.
To Northfield. Blown away by Farquhar. 2 outs. 5 up, 5 down by Danny. It's his third strikeout.
Danny, we were talking about it before the game, and I was telling you that Danny Farquhar has a good arm, and you're seeing it tonight. A couple of good four-seam fastballs at the top of the strike zone.
Yeah, I think he's using that top of the strike zone pretty well. And when you're throwing mid-90s, Mike, you can get away with it up there, and you can use it effectively to strike guys out, and that's what he's done tonight.
Strike one to Chase Headley. First inning double, since then a strikeout and a couple of groundouts.
Nice work!
And right after him. 0-2. Way upstairs. Two pitch. Two and two to Headley. Nobody on. 2 outs. Look him out. Boy, Farquhar impressive. 6 up, 6 down. Strikes out 4. Last ups for the Mariners here, down 5. It'll be Bay, Saunders, and Franklin. The Mariners' middle third of this ball game really got away from them. Jason Bay to lead it off here in the 9th. Bay, Saunders, and Franklin, 5, 6, and 7 for the Mariners. Dale Thayer's the third. San Diego pitcher. Ground ball, Cabrera. 1 out. 1 out here in the 9th. The next Aquafina Little League Day. It's coming up Sunday, June 9th. Mariners take on the Yankees at 1:10. All youngsters have take home a poster of Mariners power hitter Raul Ibanez, Safeco Field's all-time home run leader. For tickets to pick up this poster to see Raul and the Mariners take out the Bronx Bombers, pick up your tickets at mariners.com. There's Michael Saunders, couple of walks. Double sandwich in between those 2 free passes. 1-2 to Saunders. Nick Franklin's on deck. Two. Takes it. Counts full. Edison Volquez 7 2/3. Joe Thatcher, one batter, now Thayer. Here in the ninth with Nick Franklin on deck. Way off to Saunders. And he's aboard. His third walk tonight.
Three walks and a double tonight. Well, it looks like Michael Saunders really seeing the ball pretty well, like you were mentioning earlier. Not in between now. Seems to be attacking that fastball. Some pretty good at-bats for him tonight.
Well, and I think Eric Wedge eventually was leading off and ended up moving him down in the lineup, and maybe that's helped him too, to watch a few guys hit before he has to step up there to start the game off. I think eventually they'd like to get him back in that leadoff spot, but he'd been struggling. So yeah, maybe he's on the right path tonight. Sometimes, you know, we talk about it all the time, Dan. You get that 55 hopper to work its way through, or you flare a ball, and sometimes you get a game like this where you walk 3 times, you get an opportunity to see a lot of pitches. They can get you back on track, get your timing back.
Yep.
Nick Franklin 0 for 3 tonight. His first start in the big leagues, his first appearance since last night. He walked. One plate appearance.
Looks like the veteran Houston Street starting to get loose in the pen for the Padres.
Step shy of the truck, makes your catch. 2 outs.
Woods gets a good pitch to hit. It's 93-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle. He started probably middle in and ran right out to where his barrel was, but he missed it. Skied it out to right.
For 2 outs. The man who plated the Mariners' only run with a sacrifice fly in the second inning stands in. Jesus Sucre. Sucre 0 for 2. Count at 1-1. Ground ball to Jerko. Bottles throws out Sucre, and that'll do it. So the Padres win this one 6-1, and they split this series. Next stop, San Diego. 2 more games against the Pods. Volquez was outstanding tonight.
He was really good tonight. Made it tough on the Mariners, especially when he had a lead, Danny. And now we'll see what happens when they go down to San Diego. They have Joe Saunders and Felix going, so hopefully they can win a couple of games on the road.
Yeah, I thought Volquez was a story tonight. Did a nice job with that fastball down and that breaking ball down. Mariners weren't able to get anything going.
All right, for Mike Flowers and Dan Wilson, I'm Dave Sims. Time to send you out to center field. See what's going on in the post-game show. Here's Brad and Bill.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Well, lots going on, of course, in the post-game show, but we want to start